Last week, I got to spend some time with Samsung's newest device, a mixed reality headset called the Galaxy XR. It's basically Samsung's take on the Apple Vision Pro, although it is far less expensive. Half as expensive, actually. I want to touch on all that stuff, but first, I want to say something a little unexpected, something I noticed after testing the headset. This isn't really a Samsung device. Yeah, Samsung made it, true, but I think I really just used the first ever Google Pixel headset. What Samsung and Google have done here with the Galaxy XR is very similar to what the two companies do with Samsung smartphones. When it comes to Galaxy phones, Samsung makes the hardware and Google provides the software, which is, of course, Android. Samsung then heavily modifies Android to make it look and feel unique, adding dozens of features that no other company provides. However, that last step is crucially missing from the Galaxy XR. Instead, what we have is Samsung hardware with Google software, known as Android XR, that's been barely changed by Samsung. So what I came away with from my demo was that although the headset is clearly a Samsung product, the soul of the experience is almost purely Google. Before I get into all that, let me give you a rundown of the headset itself. If you've ever used a VR headset before, there are no real surprises here. The Galaxy XR has a glass front that protects multiple cameras and sensors. There are soft, stretchy straps that connect the main headset to the back padding, which is a big dial on it for tightening or loosening the straps. There are 3 buttons on the headset, a multifunction button on the top right, and then a volume rocker on the top left. Like Apple's Vision Pro, the battery is not built into the headset. Instead, it's a self-contained pack that's connected to the headset using a proprietary pin system. The reason for this is to keep that hefty battery weight off your head, which should make it more comfortable to use the Galaxy XR for extended periods of time. Inside the headset are 2 displays that automatically adjust themselves based on your face. This is made possible thanks to multiple sensors and cameras inside that perform eye tracking functions. This means you don't need to fiddle with knobs or move the lenses around to get the right focus. The headset does all the adjustments for you. For audio, there are small speakers above your ears that blast the sound out. This allows you not to need to wear headphones and also allows you to still hear the real world around you. Of course, if you'd prefer to use Bluetooth headphones, that's totally fine, as the headset supports Bluetooth connections of all kinds, including earbuds, gaming controllers, mice and keyboards, and more. Unfortunately, the Galaxy XR doesn't come with any of that stuff though. When you buy it, you just get the headset and the battery pack. You might be wondering how you use it then. This is where the magic of the device really becomes apparent, which is all made possible by Android XR. There are lots of downward-facing cameras on the front that capture your hand motions. Using these, you can control the operating system with hand gestures. A pinch acts like a left mouse click, and a pinch and hold acts as holding down the left mouse button, so you can drag windows around. You can use 2 hands to pinch and zoom in and out. Turning your hand around and pinching opens menus. Meanwhile, the eye tracking cameras inside are monitoring your eyes at all times. This allows you to look at something and the headset to understand what you're looking at, which makes controlling things faster and easier. So what is it like actually using this? As I mentioned, the UI feels very stock. It's a Samsung device, so you'd expect it to come with something like One UI on board with a distinctly Samsungified look and feel to it, as well as Samsung-made apps and services. Instead, all I saw everywhere was Google apps in their usual stock style. Most significantly though, the thing I saw everywhere was Gemini. When Google announced Android XR at the end of 2024, it specifically called out that it was the first operating system designed from the ground up for what it calls the Gemini era. In other words, Google didn't make Android XR and then figure out ways to add Gemini to it. Instead, Android XR was built with Gemini already in mind. As such, it permeates everywhere throughout the entire operating system. You can activate Gemini at any time by holding down the multifunction button. Not only does this allow you to speak to Gemini, but you can easily show it your display. This allows you to ask Gemini questions about what you're doing. You could be playing a game of some kind and pull up Gemini to help you out with it. You wouldn't need to explain anything to it because it would be able to see the game, what level you're on, your character's health, and all that. If you're a gamer, you should know that this headset is going to be much better for gaming than the Apple Vision Pro. It will support Steam VR games when connected to a VR-ready PC, and will also support 2D games through existing apps like Steam Link and Moonlight. It will also support pretty much every game that's already on the Google Play Store. Connecting a standard controller to the headset via Bluetooth is dead simple, and you'll be able to get VR-style controllers from Samsung as an additional purchase, opening the doors to all sorts of existing VR experience. Apple made a big mistake by not working hard to support these kinds of experiences with the Vision Pro. So, it's great to see Google and Samsung aren't making that same mistake. Anyway, let me tell you about the things I did when I had my personal demo time with the Galaxy XR. This is where my idea of what this device is started to shift from it being a Samsung product to it being a Google product that Samsung just so happened to create. The first thing I saw was a Google Photos demo. The Photos app looks and works just like it does on your phone, but the software can make any photo stereoscopic, which means it appears to have depth. You can easily turn this on or off with any photo in your library, and the depth effect is created on device on the fly, thanks to the very powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus Gen 2 processor inside. Yes, that's its actual name. After Google Photos, we jumped into Google Maps. The demo I did here was remarkably similar to what they showed off at the keynote. You start out in Maps with an aerial view of the Earth, as if you were floating in space. You can then tell Gemini to take you anywhere you like, and you'll zoom into that area, once again floating above it like a bird. You can then zoom in even further to explore places in Street View, so it feels like you're walking around the destination. The really cool thing is that you can actually walk inside select buildings. Google does this by using AI to stitch together existing photos and videos available on Google Maps, creating a realistic 3D environment. You won't be able to do this with just any building, but there are already over 1,000 locations in New York alone that work for this. The next thing we tried was YouTube. I viewed an immersive 360-degree video that was shot specifically for headsets like the Galaxy XR. I also watched an interactive 3D film where I could reach out and touch objects while the visuals were happening around me. I also watched one of my own videos that was automatically converted to be stereoscopic, which was pretty cool. This feature will eventually work on most YouTube videos, but will be a while before it's active, so don't plan on using it when you take it out of the box. These were all really cool demos, I gotta admit, but I couldn't help but notice that there was nothing about Samsung. I even asked the people helping me with the demo why there weren't any Samsung things, and they said that we were only focusing on these demos for today. Obviously, this is a first-gen device running a first-gen operating system. It makes sense that the software wouldn't be heavily skinned to better represent Samsung. What was so wild though was that there was nothing in the software that said Samsung at all. At least nothing that was shown in the keynote or demoed for me during my session. Every single thing was Google this and Google that. Where's Galaxy AI? Where's One UI? Where are the Samsung apps? Where's Bixby? Those things could be on the way. Maybe. Perhaps they will come through software updates later on down the road. Perhaps they'll actually be there when you take the Galaxy XR out of the retail box, but for whatever reason, no one wanted to talk about that during our multi-hour session. For now though, all I can say is that the Galaxy XR felt like it was 80% Google's headset, 15% Samsung, and maybe 5% Qualcomm. Calling it a Galaxy just feels off. Calling it a Pixel headset would make way more sense. I do want to point out that this isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying anything critical about this product. I haven't had enough time with it to fall on either side of the coin yet. I'm just pointing out that, as a Pixel guy who also uses Samsung phones regularly, I didn't get the Samsung vibes I expected from something called a Galaxy XR. It feels way more appropriate to call this the Pixel XR. What I'm left to wonder now is whether this product will be a hit. The Apple Vision Pro has been a well-established bomb for Apple, with sales figures estimated to be less than 1 million units, which is dismal for a company like Apple. Most people would argue that the Vision Pro isn't selling because it's so expensive, and the Galaxy XR is considerably cheaper, so it might fare better. For the record, it costs $1,799, or roughly half the price of the Vision Pro. However, $1,800 is still very, very expensive. This isn't a device you just decide to buy one day. A normal person will need to carefully budget and weigh out whether or not they'll get enough value out of it to justify the expense. To make things even dicier, Apple hasn't been able to really bring much content to the Vision Pro. There are very few immersive films and TV shows to consume, and there will only be a few YouTube channels that focus on this type of content. Consumers have also unilaterally decided that using an XR headset for productivity is impractical, as no one wants to have one of these on their face for 8 hours a day. Really, all that leaves is gaming. The fact that the Galaxy XR supports a wide variety of controllers at least puts it into a much better position as a gaming product than the Vision Pro. And the idea that Steam VR and nearly everything on the Google Play Store all work out of the box is also good. But is that what the Galaxy XR is? Another virtual reality gaming headset? That's just not enough to justify the price. Anyway, I remain cautiously optimistic about the future of Android XR and the Galaxy XR headset. I want this product to succeed, if only because I want to have new experiences with tech that only something like a headset could provide. But yeah, as it stands right now, I used a pretty typical virtual reality headset made by Samsung, running some really cool software made by Google, filled with terrific Google-powered experiences. It doesn't say Google or Pixel anywhere on the outside, but yeah, it's as close to a Pixel-branded headset as we're probably ever going to get. But I want to know what you think. Are you going to buy the Galaxy XR? If so, what are you most excited to do with it? Let me know down in the comments. Before you go, if you want to watch me talk more about Samsung and Google, check out this video where I try to get both Pixel fans and Galaxy fans to give each other some support. Don't forget to like and subscribe too, as that really helps out young channels like mine. I'll see you all down in the comments.